Welcome to PSAV Hive and at MPI. Welcome and thank you for joining us. Bill?
Thanks, Meg. Thank you. Our topic is social media, specifically engaging your audience using social media, what every meeting professional needs to know. That's a lot of work. But we've got just the right people here to answer that very long title. On my left, Nicole Prentice-Williams, President of Prentice-Williams Media and a media trainer. And on my far right, Jim Spellos, President of Meeting You. And Jim, it's good meeting you.
Good meeting you as well.
And to get us started, we'll go actually to you first, and I'll ask, because this is the audience we're speaking to, meeting planners. How are meeting planners using social media?
Long answer, but it's in a variety of ways. Clearly what they're doing is they're reaching out and connecting with their audience in ways they have never been able to before. There's an immediacy, a transparency to social media that gives them the opportunity to really get to know their audience, to hear their voices, to integrate that into the design and the production of what they're doing. Now it's across all different generations and all different levels. For some planners, they're using it extensively to literally generate ideas for the conference. For others, they try to use it more for promotion or marketing to be able to get the word out, but that seems a little bit limiting and not as engaging. And I don't think that's as authentic a message as when you're really just trying to connect and hear the voices that are out there and utilize that to share content and to understand what it is that they want out of their events.
And Nicole, you know a thing or two about content and
yeah, absolutely. I think Jim really hit it on the nail on the head, because everybody does have a voice out there now. Traditionally, I come from a television background. I was a producer for 20 years, and traditionally there was just one route for getting your voice out there to mainstream, which was mainstream media, television and radio and newspaper. Well, a lot of the newspapers are shutting down, and magazines are like where the last piece of information is now. So I think social media gives everyone a level playing field. So it's about finding that authentic voice and that authentic message, and then being able to deliver it through social media. So it's really empowering for meeting planners and people across all industries, really, that should really be utilizing social media.
How do you find that authentic voice? Is it just a genuine?
You really have to dig deep. I think you really have to evaluate all the work that you've done and really find those moments, those gems where your clients have really been so impressed by your work and the successes, and really there's been an emotional feeling almost, because when there's emotion it really calls people to action. So it will call your prospective clients to act to hire you. So I think finding the story inside of you is really crucial, and what makes you stand out from your competition, because we're all unique, we all have our strengths. So what is yours?
And the noise that's there makes the storytelling that much more important, because there's so many people who now have the megaphone. So just by saying what you like or what you do doesn't cut it in social media, but to make an engaging real story that is who you are, finding your voice and telling it effectively is going to be much more endearing and much more accepting. I think our industry has such a wide range of how people look at social media, and a lot of folks are hesitant. And we were talking about this beforehand, that they don't want to get in there because they don't want to sound stupid, or they don't want to say anything that their peers might not agree with. And right now, to me, social media is as great a listening tool as it is a speaking tool. And I think a lot of planners can offset that fear just by spending their first week or two saying nothing and reading and listening and hearing what's being said and how it's said, and using that to help develop their voice.
There's such a fear factor. Where do we start? What do we want to say? How do we say it? I hear that every day. I'm sure both of you hear that as well. So how do we start? Meeting planners, depending on the generations, are either very comfortable or not at all in every dimension of that. So what do you tell them?
Ready, fire, aim.
Just go, just go.
The sooner they're in there, the more they're going to find a comfort level. The more they go, well, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'm not ready for it right now, the more that just builds up the excuse and makes them more fearful of it. But I think they have to realize they're not going to fail. It's not as if you're going to say something and all of a sudden the whole world's not going to listen to them anymore. And you probably agree, it takes a while to find that voice that is going to make that message that much more authentic coming from them. But if they're not out there, they're not going to start to really learn how to use it effectively.
Yeah, finding your voice. But you know, for me, it's 3, 2, 1. Then the red light's on, because I do a lot of media training on camera, and there's a huge fear factor there. It's just like getting your message out on social media. It's people that are worried about seeing themselves on camera. But for meeting planners, I think it's really important to use that video, because you can, and then put it into social media, because you can show the events that you're putting on and really show your work. There are a lot of visual components to meeting planning. And so you want to be able to get that out there. And so along with what you're writing on social media, putting those videos up with Vine or Instagram, those are, you know, the apps that are, Twitter is with Vine, and so putting that out there and having it go viral, and people will want to spread it, and you'll build up your following.
It's interesting because even YouTube, there's so many planners that don't have their own channel for their conference. And to me, this is such a visual medium that the first thing you'd want to do is get some video, put it up there, and let your attendees actually become your promotion for your conference. Because if you get them on camera and they share what they like about it, you really have the heart of what a viral media campaign could be like.
Right.
Even what defines media has changed, hasn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
I also
did
come from a period where it's traditional print and TV and outdoor,
Right.
and now that's all definitions have changed.
I just did a session yesterday, and it was authentic messaging in a media-driven world. Well, what is media-driven? It involves so much more than television, radio, newspapers, and magazines now. It's you know, like I mentioned, the elevator or the taxi cab. I have a friend who just got a show hosting a taxi cab show. So it's everywhere you go, you're seeing media, and it's also usually streaming across that screen. And then you have the social media on top of the new media, and then when you're on social media, you have the new media. So it's all intertwined together.
How does anybody keep up with all this? I mean, I'm thinking.
I don't know. That's Jim's question.
You've got a couple hours.
Well done, well done.
I was going to say, actually, there's a lot of tools that are out there. When we talk about the different social media, especially with mobile, you know, I always focus in the curation area, because the idea of curation is that we're all content information curators. We're producers. We are news producers today. We might not be generating the story, but we're defining what's important for our clients and our constituents. So if you want a starting point with any of this, I mean, go to Zeit, go to Flipboard, 2 of the best apps out there on all the devices, where you can take the content, customize it, and share it without spending a lot of time. I mean, for me, it's replaced reading the daily newspaper every day, and I get a constant stream of content that's focused and understands what I'm interested in and the information that's important to me. And it's a huge way to really get beefed up on this information at a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I really like what you said about being news producers, because reporting what the news is now, you're late to the game. There's only a few people out there who are doing that in a timely manner. So everybody needs to find their twist, their angle. Meeting professionals can find their angle on news, and really put that out there. And that makes you unique. And that's how somebody's going to think about story differently and think about you in that story.
So I see a challenge with social media and meeting planners. Meeting planners are the heroes behind the scenes. They're the ones that make everything happen. They're very rarely the the center stage people. They're the ones who are doing all the work behind, and they're the heroes, but they are not
recognized.
They're rarely recognized. So how do they change or transform or adapt to putting themselves out there?
I don't think it's changed at all. I think they're facilitators, just the same in social media. In fact, you know, they're sort of a conduit more than anything else. You know, our industry, they have to be masters of everything.
Right.
And they don't need to know every single element of social media, but if they can identify where it impacts their clients and their constituents and be that conduit through which their membership gets what they need in real time, they're providing killer service.
Right, right. One last question, I guess. If we had this conversation, let's say sometime 3 years from now, what do you think we'll be talking about? Where are we all headed?
I hope even more video. I think I think 3 people per company will be on camera promoting their business and sharing that through social media. Videos, completely. Everybody wants to click that little arrow, that sideways arrow. Everybody wants to see it. And that's why I think everybody needs to have an on-camera presence. So.
It's wearable and it's augmented. And if you talk about what it's going to look like in 2016, the device is going to be part of your fabric, and what you're going to see is more than what the eye can see. And I think what you're going to see this year with Google Glass coming out isn't going to be game-changing from the perspective of everyone wanting those glasses, but it's going to open the door for the augmented reality conversation, which has been brewing for the past 5 to 10 years, to finally get to a level of where people are comfortable with it. And so you're going to see an awful lot of tools that will allow you to take your phone or your glasses and get meta information, see what else is out there. You walk into the exhibit hall, where are the 5 vendors you want to visit, where's the lunch being served, you know, and all that just pops up in real time. It's going to be a different world, and you know, if you ask me in a day or two, I might give you a different answer, because no one really knows. But I think those 2 terms really are at the basis of where it's going. Wearable and augmented.
Watching, so that little screen that's in the elevator here at Mandalay is going to be on your eye.
So if a planner isn't into social media, they better hurry, because we're beyond that now. We're heading to augmented and wearables.
So would you say social media is sort of becoming mainstream at this point?
Absolutely, we don't even need to say mainstream media. It's all mainstream, and I think you know, TV. I think radio is still relevant as far as keeping up to pace, but television is behind social media for sure.
Television might be saved by Twitter.
Yes.
TV might be saved by the fact that for 30 years they were trying to find a way to engage their audience in real time, set top boxes and all that, and then Twitter comes. And all of a sudden they have the tool to make it real time again. I think that might be the saving grace of more traditional TV.
There was actually a Pew Research released some information recently, and it was like 50% of people who watch TV, once a month they are interacting with a device while they're watching TV. So they're getting the information, the feedback on whatever show they're watching through everyone else who's watching. So that way, if you're watching at home alone, you're actually watching it with thousands of people. Dancing with the Stars, or so you think you can dance, everybody's using it. So
they're calling that second screening. And it's all about, we're becoming a society of second screeners, that we get information from one point, but then we process it through our mobile device or through our wearable device, whatever that might be. And the same is going to be true for meetings as well, because while you're up in the stage giving a presentation, they have the device tweeting about it, sharing, reading. You know, it's happening right now. It's just going to continue to further
and
move in
everybody
that
should embrace that. That is just fantastic. Don't fear it, embrace it. It's just going to benefit you. There might be a few things, a few hiccups and things that you wish hadn't happened and scary moments, but overall, it's a benefit.
You know, I think if you're real, and if you make a mistake, you fess up. We are a society of people who forgive us for our sins. So as long as we're being honest about it and we make a mistake there, people will embrace it. I think when we try to hide it and move it to the backside, that's when it's so easy to look right through that.
They think you're shady.
Listen, thank you both very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
The stories have been fascinating. And the topic has been engaging your audience using social media, what every meeting professional needs to know, but more importantly, we talked about subjects that were important to you, and we all learned something. So Jim Spellos, President of Meeting You, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Nicole Prentice-Williams, President of Prentice-Williams Media, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Meg and I appreciate the time, and come back and join another session of The Hive.